I didn't even cry at his funeral, you believe that? The guy was my whole world. Not a tear. Everybody looking at me like I didn't love him. But he knew. He had to know, right?
Of course he did.
One thing I find really impactful about Modern Family is its willingness to combat what would be considered today's conventional family structure. The show's ensemble cast represents various cultures, nationalities, and belief systems that ultimately open up each character and the audience in turn to learn more about different identities and perspectives. Few parts of the dynamic demonstrate this better than how the showrunners chose to portray the patriarchs of the family. The traditional father figure archetype is often viewed as a stoic sort of man who is expected to carry the family on his shoulders, financially or otherwise. We see a lot of examples of this in media with that sort of unwavering perfection, which plays into the overarching prevalence of hegemonic masculinity in society. Hegemonic masculinity basically refers to the socially dominant concept of a male in high standing. Above all, it points to the characteristics that put a man on a superior level, socially or otherwise, to those who are more feminine. This trope has defined how male roles have been characterized in the media and, for the past few centuries, American society as a whole. However, what is different about Modern Family from other examples of contemporary television is how it transcends the idea of hegemonic masculinity through its portrayal of its father figures. By way of the non-nuclear family dynamic, the show demonstrates that while these social constructs continue to exist in our culture, the modern patriarch is able to transcend the toxic stereotypes of masculinity. Modern Family is able to accomplish this while catering to its millions of viewers, which conveys that hegemonic masculinity isn't required of a show to portray its male characters realistically.
Hi, I'm Gloria Pritchett, Manny's mother.
Oh, and this must be your dad.
Her dad?
Yeah.
No, that's funny. Actually, no, I'm her husband. Don't be fooled by the, Give me a second here.
Jay Pritchett is the eldest patriarch of Modern Family, and he's also normally the one who learns a lot of the lessons as the sort of morally immovable character you'd imagine the eldest patriarch to be. Even though this fits the bill for Jay's personality, it can all be traced back to one key figure in his life: his late father. Although never properly introduced during the show's run, Jay's dad is portrayed as someone who encouraged a sort of stoic mentality in his son as he grew up, and as someone who Jay consistently aimed to impress. Jay ended up taking after his father by exhibiting the same emotional distancing that he witnessed as a boy, which in itself perpetuates the toxic expectation of father figures to sort of hold it together emotionally as the grounding feature of the conventional family dynamic. This is primarily where hegemonic masculinity plays into the show, and Jay's main struggle lies in choosing what is more important: being the son he wanted to be for his father, and being the father his children and grandchildren need him to be. What is refreshing about Jay's character, in spite of his shortcomings, is how the construct of his family automatically puts him in a place that is outside of his comfort zone. Gloria brings a fresh perspective to his life and challenges him to look at things differently. Her son Manny gives him a chance to be the father figure who he wasn't for Claire and Mitchell, and his children's respective families give him more to learn by placing him in consistently unfamiliar situations, which force him to learn what it means to be a father and grandfather in the modern world. These roles he is in are not fixed in one place. Thus, he is a character through whom we can view the complexities of fatherhood. His family consistently challenges him throughout the show's run to be better, and we can progressively see him improve himself season after season because of the things he takes to heart, rather than remaining in one place as his father once did. Jay grants us the opportunity to learn from his mistakes and grow alongside him, which gives the show a didactic lens that we can use to help ourselves and our own families.
To keep it real. No mean, son?
Not really.
Please stop.
That's cool. Ow. Oh, God, that's my back.
Sweetheart.
Ow. Oh, I slipped in the baby oil.
Phil Dunphy, Jay's son-in-law, is an interesting example of the patriarch because he doesn't really have many characteristics that line up with Jay's or that you would even expect a father figure to have. He often finds himself on the same level as his children, whether due to his naive perception of situations or simply his goofiness, which notably places his wife Claire in the shoes of the family decision maker. A new kind of power system emerges from this trade-off, which highlights a really intriguing aspect of hegemonic masculinity. One might expect the situation to be emasculating for Phil, but his trust in Claire and her abilities as a co-parent serves to almost nullify the expectation and flip it on its head. The Dunphy's partnership overpowers the borders put in place by conventional masculinity because they are a testament to the fact that it doesn't have to matter who calls the shots. This challenges what might be considered as normal for fatherhood, because Phil is anything but a normal father. Yet his mess-ups are defined by his character, not by what stereotypes would expect his character to be. Where Phil lacks prowess is where Claire picks up the pace, and that's where the strength of their relationship really comes into play. in both their family and the larger modern family as a result.
Sports guy chest bump.
No.
Sports guy chest bump.
Can't.
Oh, do it.
All right,
Go.
A notable component of the show is the gay relationship and eventual marriage of Cameron and Mitchell. While Mitchell is mostly considered the serious one in the relationship and Cameron more bubbly, the two are still able to work off each other. Mitch and Cam are an interesting grouping mainly because they are so different, and yet their dichotomy sort of works because they're able to balance each other out. Mitch's uptightness from how distant Jay was as a father is balanced out by Cam's glass-half-full personality, which of course perpetuates the standards of hegemonic masculinity as well as the show's efforts to move past those standards. Their adoption of Lily at the start of the show and Rexford towards the end of the show also clashes against the idea that fathers have to have kids, which clearly isn't true. The unit they are able to make for themselves is just as much a family as the nuclear family trope, which goes beyond the confines of hegemonic masculinity. What makes Cam and Mitch's marriage so important in the show is how it exemplifies the meaning of acceptance within a family dynamic. When Mitchell first came out to Jay as gay, Jay struggled to show Mitchell that he accepted him because of the emotional ineptitude he had learned from his father. But by the time of their wedding, Jay showed Mitch that he had learned to be more open to his sexuality by walking him down the aisle, a clear change in mindset that demonstrates the power that mindfulness and love have over societal expectations. So much can be said about the media industry and how it shapes characters to the stereotypes that drive our society. But there are exceptions to this that challenge the status quo, and I firmly believe that Modern Family is one of them. The show's portrayal of each father's successes and failures allows each viewer to make for themselves what being a father truly means. Even more importantly, it directly attacks the idea of the traditional patriarch by showing that they are allowed to make mistakes. The narrative that father figures are supposed to be perfect is a very outdated one, and it brings into question the legitimacy of gender roles for how much they play into the traditional nuclear family. Ultimately, hegemonic masculinity is something that continues to prevail in society today. The lower on the pyramid you go, the less ideal your masculinity and social status become as a result. But Modern Family squashes this. Even though Phil, Jay, Cam, and Mitch aren't what one would consider conventional when it comes to the patriarch, that means nothing. They make sure their families are taken care of, they take care of their own business, and they learn along the way. That is arguably the most important part of fatherhood, because if you aren't willing to learn, then how are you supposed to grow? One thing I think should really be recognized is how much Cam and Mitch shaped broadcast television. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, or GLAAD, is an organization that tracks media trends for LGBTQ demographics. And over the course of Modern Family's run, the amount of gay men on broadcast television increased 400%. We live in a world of media that now more than ever seeks to highlight diversity for its characters, and such a high increase in representation really shows that the media landscape might be moving in the right direction. We'll see you in the next one.